In coming to buy such, or to coming into taking over such a challenging area, so to speak, you would have done due diligence and understood the challenges that definitely were going to be involved. Mr. Edet, do you want to comment on this?
I agree with you. Again, you know this thing they talk about, buyers beware. Okay. No matter the due diligence you carry out, you can't compare it to real life situation. Just like I said at the beginning of this program, you will need to have a different set of thinking, not the conventional approach. I'll give you an example, infrastructure, like I rightly mentioned. If you look at the power infrastructure, yes, the basic economic dictate, you put your industry near your source. You find out that the majority of the power plants are within the Niger Delta area. Now, ironically, the biggest consumption is in the west, precisely Lagos area. Okay. Now, if you have to transmit power generated from the Niger Delta area to Lagos, we have an obsolete transmission system. We will have to consider the losses, and by the time it gets to Lagos, you don't have enough to go around.
But then that's what Lagos State is now also trying to address.
Yeah, I was going to get there. I was going to get there. Now, like you also said, Lagos State is trying to address this. Quite a lot of things have been done. Lagos State Electricity Board. We need to now say to ourselves, why don't we create this thing they call in the sector an island? Okay. For instance, Lagos, you ring-fence it for its own generation. You don't have to bother yourself about transmitting to Lagos. You free that power you will transmit to Lagos and give it to other parts of the country. The governor talked recently about nuclear. Well, people have their reservation about that. But I still think, given the gas challenge, we need first to handle that. Good news, the gas price have been increased, attracting more investment. Great. But the distribution of this gas, we also need to look at it, the infrastructure. The OB3 that's supposed to connect the east network to the west network need to be addressed, so that way we'll be able to manage redundancy. Okay, quite a lot of investors in gas are beginning to take action. You know, the ELPs, two key suppliers are involved: Chevron and OML 34, formerly owned by Shell, now owned by MPDC and ND Western and other partners. They are ramping up gas development. Seplat have set a target for itself by 2017 or thereabout. They will be producing 500 million scf. Interestingly, too, in the east, Frontier, in partnership with Seven Energy, they are also increasing their gas development to supply the Calabar NIPP and the environment. So until that happens, 2-3 years down the line, that's when we should expect some significant changes.
So you've talked about, very, very interestingly, about the gas development angle of it. But then in all of this, you remember that just last week, the Minister of Petroleum had a meeting with the CBN governor, Minister of Power, and then the chairman of the NRC, and they decided, you know, that a legacy gas, 213 billion naira should be set aside for legacy gas debts. In fact, it should be paid by October. Now, a lot of people are thinking it's a bailout fund.
No, it's not. It's not a bailout fund.
So, if it's not a bailout fund, why is it coming at this time?
Yeah, because you need to encourage people to do more. Historically, gas supply was approached from compliance point of view. Government builds a power plant and calls the then IOC, who were the major supplier, say, look, we need so volume for this project. And they provide it. And also remember, until recently, the then NEPA was paying 10 naira per thousand scuff. They increased it to 10 cents. Then after the power roadmap, they came up with $1, sorry, and set a target timeline to achieve export parity, which is now 2.5. Like I said, that's encouraging. But if you don't offset what you are owing me, you can't encourage me to do more. And that's what the government have just done.
Encouraging to do more, and then invariably it translates to the end user, because that means at the end of the day you're going to have an increase in your tariff, which is something they've been talking about for a very long time, and everybody's not particularly interested in hearing that right now, because we don't have power in our houses. So if I don't have power in my house, why are you telling me you want to increase the tariff I pay on power at this particular point in time? They need to understand that, look, we can't get to the promised land, you know, in just one big jump. We have to get there gradually.
If you understand Nigerian society, I'll borrow a little from the telco experience. When the GSM was first introduced, some of us paid up to 20,000, sorry, just to get registered. That's not part of the handset cost. But today, you know, I can pick a SIM card for about 500 or so.
Less than 200.
Or less than 200. Okay. Now, if Nigerian population can see the visible work being done, they are ready to pay. Yeah, I mean, one or two comments, oh, we can't pay. But if they say that, look, I get back to my house, I see light 24 hours, and the following day, Ikeja Disco or Eco Disco slip a bill of 20,000 naira under my door. Even if I have concern, I will still say, look, I need this 24-hour light supply. I'll go and pay.